Welcome back at All Counts family. We have a special guest, a phenomenal director, a wonderful man, done tremendous things in his life. Carl Seaton, how you doing, man?
I'm good, brother, man. Good to see you, man. Happy to be here.
All right.
Honored to be here, actually.
Thank you, man. How's life treating you out there in L.A.?
It's really slow motion right now, man. You know, we've had 2 strikes going on right now. They're still going on. They're saying we're in the home stretch. You know, they're giving updates. I think they're trying to get it done this week. But it's been a long time, man. I mean, the first strike started May 1st. Then the second one joined that strike July 1st. And it's just been ongoing. So it's better part of this year has been affected by the strike. So my entire industry, I specialize in television. So we've all been affected, you know, writers, directors, producers, actors, and not just us, but the below the line, the crew people, the grips, the gaffers, hair and makeup, you know, everybody in various departments have all been affected. So it's been slow motion. So, I mean, you've been using this time to prepare, to plan, rest, recoup, and just, you know, once everything gets back to, once we get back working, you know, just be prepared to just dive back in it.
Carl, been the elite level director and filmmaker and one of the best, I'm going to say the world, but certainly the United States of America, man. But I had a chance to get to know you and meet you back in 1989, man, and just, you know, just seeing you as a young guy. What made the transition? How did it come about, the filmmaking industry?
Well, you know, man, it's funny, man. I mean, it's funny because 1989 was the year my dream started. I saw the movie Do the Right Thing.
Wow.
I came out of that theater. I was with my cousin and my sister, and they were like, "Where we gonna go eat?" And I was like, "Hold on, y'all. I've been transformed. This is what I want to do with the rest of my life. This is it. This is it." Like I came out of there feeling the way I said, "Man, I want to make people feel the way I'm feeling right now off of this movie." And I didn't know the difference between a producer or a director. I didn't know anything about anything, so I just started to educate myself. And I said, "Well, let me go to, you know, let me get into communications." And I looked at Spike Lee as the litmus. And I said, "Let me follow his journey." So I majored in mass communications and just started, you know, educating myself on filmmaking and realizing, oh, it's a craft. This isn't something it's not happenstance. You don't throw nothing on the wall and it becomes this. So that started the journey. And luckily I was able to align myself with other like-minded individuals that were dreamers as well, that were thinking out the box. That weren't like, nah, man, go get a job, man. You can't do nothing like that. Just go get something regular. So I was constantly being encouraged. I wasn't in a lot of situations or scenarios where people were like, why would you try to do something like that? And if I was, I would remove myself because as I got more educated, my purpose got stronger and my dedication got stronger.
Now, being from Chicago, the Windy City, so how long did you stay in Chicago before you transitioned out to L.A.?
After I got out of school, 5 years. I didn't want to move out to L.A. with nothing to show, so me and my buddies, like I said, I was fortunate enough to be around some brothers that had the same dream as I did. And we aligned ourselves together and we're writing, we were making shorts, and we were like, all right, we got to make a feature. And we didn't want to go out to LA without a feature film. And that was once we got the feature done, that's when we made our move out to LA. It was still a hard transition because it's a whole different landscape, a whole different language. I mean, you know, they talk about mastery is 10,000 hours. So we thought we were getting our 10,000 hours up in Chicago, you know, writing and in the lab and working. And we get out to LA and realize that 10,000 hours is more like about 1,400. And we really had to pretty much start over and say, okay, this is the game. This is where we are. Are we going to focus or fold? So everybody just locked in and said, okay, we're here for a reason. Let's lock in and keep educating ourselves. Even though we had a feature done, we were winning festival awards with this feature, there was still an education in terms of the craft, yes, and more importantly, education in terms of the business. And that's something our film school didn't even mention to us, the aspects of the business. And that's sometimes more important than the creative landscape because the foundation is the business. Everything stands on the business. If the business isn't right, you can't really move around properly. So it was all about education, man. And not just necessarily going to school. It's reading up, talking to people, being exposed to people that are actually doing what you want to do, who are sharing their insight and their knowledge as well.
Man, that's some powerful stuff there. Now, Carl, I'm not counting your money at the time when you left Chicago, but did you have somebody you were staying with out in L.A.? Because you know how expensive it is. Did you guys have a place to stay, or when you got out there, you was going to find something?
We got out there and we found something, man. It's so funny, man. I mean, we all were working jobs, saving up, stacking money. We basically said, okay, we're going to stack money for 6 months. You know, I was staying in my mom's house, stacking money. My buddy was doing the same thing. And when we made the move, we all had a little money to get out there. That money got ate up so quick, you know. And I mean, we just out of ignorance, man, we ended up moving to this neighborhood called the Jungles.
Ooh, man.
And yeah, it's where they shot Training Day at.
Yeah, I heard about the Jungles.
Right. And so we lived around the corner from where they shot the Jungle, where they shot the movie. In fact, we lived there while they were shooting the movie, as a matter of fact. So we got out. Listen, man, we got out to LA. It's palm trees. It's sunshine. Their hoods don't look like the hood like in Chicago. You know you in the hood in Chicago. In LA, we had no idea. We just thought it was a cool little spot. But later on that night, we found out like, oh, okay, these helicopters and the sirens and the gunshots. We're like, okay, all right, we in a different part of the community. All right. So, but moving there and paying that type of rent and us, you know, once again, you got to fortify yourself and say, okay, this is all part of the grind. And we all locked in and said, we're not going back. You know what I'm saying? There's no, let me go back home and figure this out. There was none of that. It was like, we got to just trudge forward, you know? And to this day, we're all still out here. We've been out here now 24 years. In fact, our 24th anniversary happened about 2 weeks ago. So, you know, once again, like I said, when you align yourself with the right-minded people who not just lift you up and encourage you, but challenge you to be your best and challenge you to put your work into it. You know what I'm saying? That keeps fueling you, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm where I am. I wouldn't be where I am just on my merit and my effort. Wow. I totally stand on the shoulders of so many brothers and sisters that fueled that, and family too.
That's powerful. Now, Carl, for those that don't know, when you say the jungle, can you, coming from Chicago now, you in the jungle, can you tell the audience that don't know what the jungle is, what is that like, and gangs affiliation and all that?
Okay, so if you've seen the movie Training Day, the climax when Denzel is being confronted by the Bloods and he's in that neighborhood, that's a neighborhood called the Jungles, right? They call it the Jungles because it's a heavily populated area of trees.
Okay.
Right? So in the 80s, this goes back to the 80s, man, when they started implementing crash units to like shut down the crack cocaine, you know, empires and industry, they would use helicopters and tanks and things of that nature. The Jungles, because of the dense population of the trees, allowed them to have cover. So if a helicopter's following you, you get to the Jungles, you get obscurity, you can hide, you can dip out and things like that. But that was a heavily concentrated neighborhood of the gang known as the Black Keystone Nation Bloods. And so yeah, man, I mean, it was and they were couched between a lot of other different gang factions, man. And like I said, we got out there in '99. The gang situation that was really big in the 80s and the early 90s was still there, but it wasn't as prevalent as it was when, you know, like I said, when Boys in the Hood and in the 80s when crack first hit and things like that. So still prevalent, still evident, but I mean, it's still levels of danger all around, but it wasn't its heyday. I'll say that. It wasn't its heyday.
Okay. And your first feature film, 1 week, I had a chance to see that 1 week. Now, is that the film you were talking about when you guys first did as a group? Yeah. Won a lot of awards, too. So even in winning those awards, did you get your big break after that, or was still work to do?
I did not. No, man. You know, it's so funny, man. We win these awards. We be in festivals all over the world. We be in Acapulco. We be in New York. We be in Toronto. Then we come back home to the Jungles. And and you know, at the time, you know, this is 2000, and content catered towards an African American audience that wasn't of a certain type wasn't really, you know, there wasn't a huge level of attraction for it. You know, I remember an exec sat and told us, "Y'all movie too smart for Black people." We were offended, we were insulted, and it opened our eyes to, once again, the business of it and how they feel they can market certain stories to us. and what they feel we would embrace or accept and so forth. So, like I said, the big break definitely didn't come, man. We would, there's a lot of potential breaks. It's always a potential, like if this happens and this happens, man, my life will be set forever. Or if this happens and this happens, but certain things fall through. Some people just be talking. But yeah, the break didn't come. So we once again back in the lab. But what I got from it was, okay, we're winning these awards and we're being embraced in these film festivals, and people are reaching out to us, telling us how much it moved them, which is great. But I'm looking at it like, I got a lot to learn. As a craftsman, because I love the craft of it, man. You know what I'm saying? And as an athlete, you can appreciate this, man, because, there's a craft to what you do. There are fundamentals. There's sound fundamentals, and when you embrace those fundamentals and you build on those fundamentals, excellence will come from that. And I was looking at it like, I could easily just sit back and stroke my ego and say, man, I did all this and that. I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm like, nah, I got a lot to learn. I have to keep growing. I have to challenge myself. So I killed my ego. I'm like, later for that. Because my big break didn't happen off of that, I didn't have a chance to just rest on my laurels. I had to get back to work and get back to work in a different way. I couldn't just, do what I had been doing before. I had to do something different. So I had to expose myself to other filmmakers, sit with them, listen to them. And that's the thing about being out here at the time, man. You can go to a Q&A and see your idol talking on the stage 20 feet from you and just giving you game that people might not even consider it game. To me, it's game because I'm like, what he just said might have gone over other people's heads, but that's homework for me. Now I got to go get that book. Now I got to go watch this movie. Now I got to go break down the script this way. So I was getting assignments going like that, man. And so, like I said, you just keep growing and growing. And like I said, it's humbling, man, because like I said, we were still extremely poor. We were winning these festivals and the film was getting accolades and we were getting on people's radars, but it wasn't enough to tip the scale. So I was like, okay, we got to come back with something else. And that's always a challenge, raising money. We try to raise money for other films. Investors would come in, fall out. So it was always, it was a roller coaster ride. A lot of despair, a lot of highs, and a whole lot of lows, man. Whole lot of lows.
So in those lows, did you ever think about giving up?
At one point I did, man. I'd done a film a couple years later. It was an independent film. And I did it for the all wrong reasons. I was poor, I needed some money, and this opportunity came my way to make, quick job, make some money, keep it moving. And I jumped on it, and it was a horrible experience. And it just gutted me, man, because like I said, I love what I do and I love the craft and I have such a respect and reverence for the craft. And for that to turn out, and I always had a fear of making a horrible movie, and I made a horrible movie. And my name was attached to it. So I had to eat that. I had to eat it, and I've never gotten hit like that before. You know what I'm saying? That's a different kind of punch in the mouth. It's one thing when you make a mistake and say, okay, I'll own that. But when you get hired and there's a tidal wave coming and you can't stop it, you just say, wow, this is about to be trash. This is about to be a disaster. And it is a disaster. And your name is out front. So people look at you like, this is indicative of your skill set. And like, I'm a far better filmmaker than this film. So I had to sit on that, man. And I mean, it led to a 3-year depression, bro, where I wasn't writing. I wasn't really pursuing the game at all. In fact, I was really trying to get out. It was parallel with the recession of 2008, where wasn't much going on, period. So because of that, there weren't many opportunities. Had somebody say, hey, man, you want to go get into this game, this industry? And I'd have been, yes. I'd have been like, I'm jumping out. I'm out. I'm done. Because I was debilitated, man. I was done. I was tired. I was angry, frustrated. I mean, imagine, you stand on the hill like, I'm better than this. I'm better than this. I deserve a better opportunity than this. Why is it that no one sees how great I can be? And that's where I was, man, for a long time until somebody said this, like, you right where you're supposed to be. I think it was Steve Harvey on his morning show. He said, man, you right where you're supposed to be. And I was like, I can't be right where I'm supposed to be. I'm the victim. I'm the victim. But I had to stop and pause and take responsibility. Like, I am what I'm supposed to be. I put myself here. You know what I'm saying? I took that shitty job for the money and in the process subjected myself to a terrible experience, which ultimately led to a bad movie. So I had to sit with that. Then I said, okay. And then it came to, then I reached a proverbial fork in the road where I got into that film got me into my union, the DGA, the Directors Guild of America, which is another goal of mine I had since I was in college. I want to get into the DGA because that's the prestigious Directors Guild of America. And that film got me in there. But I hadn't been paying the dues because I didn't really have the money to do it. And they reached out to me. They say, listen, we haven't heard from you. You haven't been paying your dues. So if we don't hear from you in the next 60 days, we're going to cancel your membership. So I'm looking at this letter like, okay, if I cancel this membership, I'm done. What do I want to do? This is my fork in the road. And I was like, man, I got to get back on it. And that's when I had to kind of get out that darkness and start moving back towards the light and say, you know what? I'm not ready to quit. Let me get back moving with this. And so I made that choice, started a payment plan to get back, get right with that. And I started writing again and I started going back watching the movies that got me excited in the first place. I watched Do the Right Thing. I watched The Warriors, The Blues Brothers, movies that had me excited as a kid. I said, I got to go back to that childlike enthusiasm. So I went back and looked at all that old school stuff, all these movies from the 80s and the 70s, blaxploitation films. I had like a little film festival, man, where I was enjoying and having fun doing that. And that allowed me to tap back into my joy. And by tapping back into my joy, that led me back into, okay, let me get into the craft of it all, but also let me incorporate the lessons I learned here, what I stand for, what my foundation is, so I can't get wavered again. You know what I'm saying? Who am I about? What am I drawn to? And I was able to realize I'm drawn to stories that really expound the complexities of African-American men and men of color. You know what I'm saying? That's really, I mean, I can tell all kinds of different stories, but those are stories I really, really aspire to tell on a different level. So I started writing, I did a little short. I wrote a silent short. And my birthday came up. And my brother sent me $200. And I was like, okay, I can go shopping. I can buy some shoes. I said, I'm going to use this $200 and make a short film. And just to see, I said, let me see if I still got any talent. This was like the next test because every level is a test. So I said, I'm going to test myself. If I can pull this movie off for $200, I'll see where I'm at with it. And I hit all these actors I know out of my phone, say, yo, man, I'm shooting this short film. I want you to do it for me. Everybody's like, where you need me? What time? Everybody showed up. I shot it in 2 days. I cut it in a day. I put the music on another day. So I shot over a Thanksgiving weekend. So by that Saturday I shot, that Sunday I shot. By that Wednesday, the movie was done. And I was looking at it like, yo, this is actually a pretty cool short film. And I put it on YouTube because the game had changed so much since the last time I'd done a short film. I'm like, YouTube exists now. I'm like, all right, put it on YouTube. And a producer I didn't know hit me like, yo, man, I just saw your movie on YouTube. Take that off right now. And I'm like, why? He said, man, this should be in festivals. You put it on festivals don't like shorts on YouTube right now. So take it off. And I was like, all right. So I took it off. I started putting in film festivals. I won a couple of festival awards. And it got me a global distribution deal for this movie. I still get a check every 6 months for it. It's on Apple TV and everything, man. So it was like confirmation, like, okay, this your purpose. Stand in your purpose and do it the right way this time. Don't skip steps. Don't take the short route. Don't take the easy route. Just stand in your purpose and keep grinding. So that got me back into my groove of no, not my groove, but it got me back on my steps towards my path.
And Carl, your brother had to send you $200. So I assume while you trying to make it, you didn't have money. So when these executives, directors, movie stars, when they going out to dinner, wine and dining, what were you doing? If you couldn't afford it, how were you eating, doing what you needed to do?
Oh man, I mean, so back then it was me. You know what I'm saying? So I could make a pot of spaghetti and eat that every day. I've had moments where I have a pot of spaghetti. That's what I'm eating for the week. Honeycomb and Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? And God forbid McDonald's. Now I used to eat McDonald's chicken sandwiches every day at one point in time for like months. So it was a primal level of survival, man. I didn't have a problem doing what I needed to do. And also I've always been a great person, man. I'm not one to just squander money ever. Like if it don't make sense, I can't even try to entertain keeping up with the Joneses. So, people like to flash and like I've been out here long enough to see a lot of people I see a cat have a $100,000 car, can't pay his rent. You know what I'm saying? But he looked good. So I'm like, that don't really matter to me. You know what I'm saying? And I really give credit to being from Chicago, so I'm grounded in reality where I'm not with the flashy stuff, man. I ain't trying to, I don't wear jewelry. I don't even like jewelry. You know what I'm saying? So I don't spend money on labels. You'll never see me rocking like Gucci and nothing like that. That never appealed to me. So that type of lifestyle wasn't there. And I realized that whole, the Hollywood industry of it all, I didn't really aspire to be in the industry in that side of the industry, because there's a social level of it, that the parties and the hookups and all that kind of stuff. But I realized just from observing, I'm like, you can have a lot of fun in that. I don't see a lot of work in that. Who's hiring who here? I'm like, you ain't getting no jobs from this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I ain't got to be at this party. I don't need to be seen. You know what I'm saying? So, and then once my career started moving, I realized, oh, you really ain't got to be, you don't have to do that. You want to be there. That's a choice. And sometimes it works. Some people are social butterflies. I'm an introvert, man. I mean, I'm all about the work. Then I'm all about family and being at the crib. So once I realized that I'm not getting hired at these parties, I'm just out here. I mean, once you pass the age of chasing women, being at a party is like, okay, what am I really doing here? So because of that, I'm like, that's not my point of focus. My point of focus is meeting with execs and having meetings scheduled in the daytime. I don't need to meet anybody for drinks at 10 o'clock. Like that serves no one there's a different agenda for something like that. So I was able to just, circumvent all of that. And I never really got immersed into that culture either. So I was always, I ain't gonna say I was above the fray, but I just never really got into that Hollywood, that system like that.
I like that, man. Bad Dad Rehab, your TV show. How did that come about?
All right, so I did that short, and then fast forward, I did another short. I did a couple other shorts after that and some web series. I was pretty much directing anything I could just to keep getting my reps in. And a friend of mine was doing a TV One film. I reached out to her to say congratulations. I said, man, how'd you go about getting that? She said, oh, just reach out to such and such because you should definitely be doing them. So I reached out to a friend of ours who worked at the network, met with them, and they said, we got a film that we think you'd be ideal for. And I was like, okay. So they sent me the script. And looking at the script, I said, okay, I saw a lot of problems in the script. It was a similar situation where I said, this script isn't really ready to go. So I said, okay, let me handle this differently than I did before. Because that last film I did, the script wasn't ready to go. We just trudged forward. And I didn't speak up. I didn't present better solutions. I just kind of went with the cause because I thought that was the best way to go. With this one, I said, okay, this script has a lot of problems. I have solutions. You can't just bash a script. You got to come with things that are going to fix the script. So in my pitch to the producers, I pitched solutions to the problems, and I did it in a way that didn't affect the budget. And they were like, okay, that's what they was trying to hear. I wasn't like, I'm going to need another $400,000 for this movie. Like, no. Budget can stay the same. If we're going to do it like this, and I utilize all of my low budget filmmaking skills because we shot it in 15 days. Man. So I just leaned on all of my skills of leading up to this point to do that movie. And I had a game plan, man. I was like, okay. Once again, on my birthday, because there's an island out here called Catalina. And on your birthday, you can take a free trip out there. So I took that free trip out to the island. And on the island, I literally stayed on the beach at sunset and manifested what I was going to do in the next 2 years. I said, I'm going to interview for this film. I'm going to get this film. I'm going to use this film to get an agent who specializes in episodic television, start interviewing for these TV shows, book one TV show, book the next, and be a working director in the next 3 years. And I said 3 years, it happened in the next year. All that happened in the next year. But I put it out there as a manifesto, like, this is what I want to do. Here's how I want to do it. And when I went in to pitch for this movie, I wasn't thinking about who else was pitching. I just thought about my pitch. I had the most detailed pitch. I mean, my pitch was so long, they had to cut the meat though. They were like, okay, we got another meeting we got to go to. We weren't expecting all this information to the point where an exec told me later on, I pivoted. There's a certain way they expect directors to pitch for their jobs now based on how I pitched. Man. Because I came in with such a detailed vision in terms of cast, music, clothing, locations. I had it all laid out because I wasn't playing around, man. Like I said, because I've been out here and I've been being educated. And let me say this, getting into the DGA, once I got my membership going again, I started attending more events there. And by attending more events there, I had access to different levels of skills and different levels of craft. And on their website, which is free for anybody, they have interviews with so many filmmakers where they talk for hours and hours, like Bill Duke and Robert Townsend. And these guys talk for 3 and 4 hours about their career, their trajectory, the lessons they've learned. I'm like, this is better than film school for me. So I will literally be sitting here, I'm taking notes, and I'm incorporating all these things into my palette. So when I get an opportunity, I put all that out there. And the movie turned out phenomenal. I got nominated for an Image Award, an NAACP Image Award for it. And yeah, man, and that's what that led me to my agent, which led me to my first episodes in episodic television.
Now, call again, because I'm taking notes. I want to write that down myself, and I know people, I want them to catch it, even though they can rewind. You said DJ, they can go back and look at old filmmakers. What website is that? A DGA, you said?
It's DGA.org.
DGA.org.
And on there, they have an archive. They have an archival tab where they just have old school. I mean, not old school, but just filmmakers. That's the thing about directors. You don't really know what we look like or our names, but you've seen our work.
Yes.
You know, and you pull up some of these directors who've been directing for decades. I mean, any movie you could think of, and they just talk about their journeys, how they got there. Like I use Bill Duke for once, for as an example. I mean, Bill's interview goes, it's like a 3 hour and 40-something minute interview. And he's given, I mean, it's broken down in sections, but it is amazing. Stan Lathan, I mean, this is Michael Schultz. It's an amazing directors that are members of the DGA, and they just giving up their stories. And it's been my benchmark for 15 years now, where I'm always looking at it. I'll go back to it. They remind you of the fact that what I was going through wasn't unique. Good. That's a process. What I've experienced was not a anomaly. That's a part of this game. It's a part of the grind, and it normalized it for me. We said, okay, all right. I wasn't singled out, nothing like that. This is just part of the game. But like I said, there was so much craftsmanship that was spoken into it. And like I said, I'm all about, man, my mom was an English teacher. So I'm all about education. Not necessarily school education, but knowledge. And with the internet, now more than ever, knowledge is so free and so accessible. It's just, the internet, the cell phone, they're tools. They're all tools.
Yes.
And you can use these tools for something great, or you can use these tools to waste your time. You know what I'm saying? So I like to really get in there and just discover new information that helps expound me as an individual. Not just as a filmmaker now, but as a Black man, as a father, as a partner to my girl. So, there's so many jewels I can find if I'm looking for them and how to look for them. And there's so many rabbit holes you can go down. You start discovering things, they'll connect you to something else, which you connect you to something else. And you just spend 2 hours studying up on, emotional intelligence. And you come back like, oh, wow. Those are emotional literacy and financial literacy, the two things that should be taught in every school that are never taught in any school. Because those tools can take you further than anything. Emotional literacy and financial literacy. But it's never discussed until you in your 20s and 30s sometimes, when that's even mentioned, But imagine a kid that's 12 years old and 13 years old is being taught how to manage their emotions. When somebody says something that disrespects you, pause before you react. You know what I'm saying? Think about your actions before you do it because of the consequences. So you talk to kids that have a record, like, why you got a record? Man, he disrespected me, so I had to come back at him. And now he got this thing on him forever. Good kid, just in a horrible predicament that made a bad decision is going to affect him forever. So, like I said, I'm all about knowledge, man. I know I'm sidetracking, but I'm all about knowledge. Because I'm all about knowledge and educating myself, I'm always, trying to learn new things.
No, you're teaching classes in session, emotional literacy and financial literacy. I think those should be taught. Yeah. I agree with you, man. I just jotted that down as well. Now, the thing that was good to me, just in knowing you and studying you, the relationship with John Singleton. How did that come about?
So John was a huge fan of my very first film, One Week, right? We met him at a film festival. He's also So I directed the film. My frat brother Kenny Young, he co-wrote it with me, and he was the star of the film. And my other frat brother Phil James was the producer of the film.
Okay.
John is also our frat brother. So we all met him at the film festival. He's a big fan of it. So that started our relationship. And we stay in and out of contact with him through the years. And in 2016, I reached out to John because I knew he had some new shows coming to TV. One was called Rebel, one was called Snowfall. So I reached out to John. John got me a meeting with the company doing Rebel, and I was able to book 2 episodes of that show. And it was special because I've been trying to get into episodic television for 10 years. Literally, over a decade, trying to get into programs, trying to get on shows.
Now, I'm going to cut you off, Carl.
Trying to get that first episode.
When you say episodic, can you explain to the audience what that means? Episodic television.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So film is what it is. Movies are movies, and then you have episodic television. Episodic television is, the TV shows that you watch now on regular TV, on cable and streaming services. Anywhere from Chicago PD or in any hour-long episode, any hour-long show is considered episodic television. So I've been trying to get in that landscape for over a decade. And it's a really hard, very hard nut to crack because nobody wants to hire you until someone else hires you. So it becomes a catch-22 of getting that opportunity. And it's funny because in retrospect, I partially understand why it's so hard to get an opportunity because there's so much money at stake. Most episodes of network TV or streaming or cable, the average episode costs between $4 and $6 million for one episode. That's a lot of money on somebody's shoulder. So they want to make sure that, that money's going to be utilized properly. You know what I'm saying? But once again, getting the right opportunity, you shadow, you have to, show that you understand the show, you have to know how to execute. So it's a really hard mountain to climb. And it won't really do much for you until someone says, I'm going to give you an opportunity. And John gave me that opportunity on Rebel, where I did 2 episodes. And both of those episodes led to episodes of Chicago PD. I did some shows on CW, The Originals. And that my career just kind of took off from there, off those 2 shows. So, so man, John will always have a very, very special place in my heart, man, because that brother reached back and gave me an opportunity. So that's why I'm a big fan of reaching back, trying to create opportunities for people as well.
Man, called Bel Air, Godfather Harlem, Snowfall, The Shy, Rebel, Batwoman, Chicago PD, Chicago Fire, Chicago Med, FBI. I mean, there's so many shows, man. They just go on and on. I like the Bull one. I saw that Supergirl, Legacy. Just man, again, to stay the course. What was inside of you? I believe there's a God. So what was inside of you that the determination to keep going from where you started, very humble beginnings when you got out to LA to where you are now?
Man, well, like I said, the fire got doused during that depression. But when it started to come back, and it came back in such a genuine, organic manner. And I must say, dude, I got a therapist years ago. And working with my therapist only ignited my fire even more. And it allowed me to focus on myself, focus on my platform and who I wanted to be and where I wanted to go. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes in this grind, you're so caught up of, I just got to make it to Friday. Or I got to make it let me just make it to the end of this month. You know what I'm saying? So you're not really, sometimes you don't sit back and assess where you are. And then you have so many distractions now. I mean, now more than ever, you can totally be distracted by something. You got your phone, you got streaming services. There's always something that can distract you. You got AirPods in. There's always something that can take your attention. And sometimes you got to sit by yourself and sit in the dark and just think. And I knew that if I'd been given, it's like I said, I played football. I didn't have much of a career, but I played ball. And I know when somebody gives you the ball, and you got to know what to do with that ball, or they won't be giving you the ball anymore. So I look at it like that. That's why I parallel what I do with sports and athletics a lot, because it's a similar drive, it's a similar work ethic that is required, and it's a similar mental stability that is required as well. Because people think that, oh, you physical, you got a 48-inch vertical. That's easy. Anybody could go to the league. You got a 48-inch vertical. There's so much more to it than just a vertical. It's a discipline. It's a consistency. It's a sacrifice. And it's like an iceberg, man. You know, you see the iceberg sticking out the water, and that's maybe 20% of it. They don't see that 80% under the water that's keeping that iceberg up. And that 80% is getting up at 5 in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Reading that script till 2 in the morning, making notes, and or you know, working out. You tired, you exhausted, but you got to get this one thing right fundamentally so that when you have this next game, you can execute at the highest level. You know what I'm saying? So same thing here, man. It's like jump shots. You know what I'm saying? Shooting free throws. I watch the NBA, like, man, these cats making these free throws and it looks effortless. They throw it up, bam. It don't even hit the rim. It's just net, net, net. That comes from repetition. You know what I'm saying? And same thing with my craft. Because it's a creative landscape, there's always going to be curveballs. But when you are constantly immersed in the craft and getting better and better and better, you learn how to manage the curveballs much better than you did before. And because each curveball teaches you a brand new lesson that you didn't have before that curveball. So number one, you already pivot your attitude. You don't look at it as a curveball. You're like, you're like, this is an opportunity for something to be dope. Let's make this dope. You know what I'm saying? And having that attitude is infectious to everybody around you because we're all creatives. We all want to make something dope and go home. That's the most consistent thing about filmmakers in a nutshell. We all want to do something that's great creatively and go home. Well, for the most part, some people have different agendas. Some people just want to get paid. And I can respect that. But those that care, when they see somebody else's care and their emotional investment, it reignites their emotional investment. So if you got one person emotionally invested, they can move a group. You got 5 or 10, it's a whole nother army going on right there. You know what I'm saying? But once again, going back to sports, man, and these are fundamental. You're taught as a kid, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're a little boy doing these drills. You don't think nothing about it. You're like, oh, okay, here's my turn to do this drill, blah, blah, blah. But these drills, man, become your foundation. And you can always tap back into them. And it simplifies a whole lot of things. It helps you get out of your head. It's like, okay, I know if I practice this crossover jump shot and I do it again and I do it again, and if I've done it 30 times in a row, my body is going to start kicking in automatically. So it becomes an instinctual thing. Same thing with what I'm doing with my directing. My creative instincts, because I'm constantly doing these fundamentals, can kick in. And when it's the 11th hour, we've been up, it's 2 in the morning, and we're trying to get the day done. Everybody's tired, it's cold, it's rainy. We're like, okay, I got an idea to get this shot in a oneer to get us out of here. And I give the idea, the cinematographer comes with an idea, the AD comes with an idea, the actor comes with an idea, the hair and wardrobe come with an idea. So all these departments come with it. They all build on this idea that we all execute, we go home. So everybody's proud of themselves because we all collaborated and we all contributed to something. So then when we see the work, it's like, we did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes when people reach out to me and say, yo, man, saw your episode, man, you did that. I said, no, brother, we did that. You were right alongside me with this. I share all that. I don't ever say, I did this and I did that. It's a collaborative effort, man. Anybody saying I did this all on my own is a bold-faced liar. And I would look at them with a side eye forever because you can't get anywhere in most situations by yourself. Someone has to say, let me give you this insight. Let me give you this opportunity. Let me give you this assist. Let me give you this financial push. There's various things like that.
Man, Carl, I think, there's been a lot of shows, of course, but I think, too, for me, that kind of how I grew up in East St. Louis and just kind of epitomizes those environments, The Wire and then Snowfall, 2 powerful shows. Now, with all your success, even with Snowfall, how does it feel both ways when people recognize you or with all the success if people don't recognize you, even though you're very successful? How does that feel?
You know, man, I'm a big, like I said, I prefer my anonymity. I have no desire to be a celebrity. So I love, know my name and know my work. I'm good with that. It makes me happy when someone I don't know shares with me how much they're moved by some of my work. It's a confirmation of the effort that was put forth by all of us. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes a lot of folks don't get that. So it helps that, when people can share that. And I'm honored to be a part of, a legendary show, a classic show. I'm very honored to be a part of that. Don't take that lightly. That's why another reason why I work so hard, because my first episode of Snowfall, was John passed right before I started shooting that episode. So I had to carry that during the shooting of that episode. So it was an emotional toll, not just for me, but the crew and the cast, because so many of us on that show got our starts in our careers because of John. So, to be honest, to carry his legacy on, to work hard to make him proud is that's something we all, strive for. So when someone reaches out to me and says, man, you did that, great job, that means a lot. You know what I'm saying? And just not just that, but acknowledging the power of the show and how it touches people means a lot as well.
So, Carl, what advice do you have for the young men and women want to get in your profession, want to get in that field? What advice would you have for them?
I would say to learn as much as you can. And because of technology today, shoot as much as you can. You can shoot a film, edit a film, and post a film from your phone now. And I done had that technology back in the day. Back in the day, we had to rent a camera, we had to buy film, process it. It would take forever to get a film done, back when I was a young cat. Now, it can all be done off your phone and a high quality at that. And I would say, get out there and embrace failing, make mistakes, make bad movies, but just know these are bad movies. You know what I'm saying? Couch your ego and say, ask yourself if you want to be known or clout, or do you want to be a great filmmaker? And learn the process and learn the craft and study those that you admire. Somebody you admire, study them. Learn everything you can about them. You know what I'm saying? Read up on them. Any podcasts they've ever done, listen to that. Any books they've ever written, read that. Any of their work, study it. I would say that. And so it's just twofold. It's pursuing the craft, studying it, and then also, making content. You got to make content and keep focusing on being better at it. Every film you want to improve on. If you're making the same kind of movie on your 5th try, you're not challenging yourself. And be humble enough to realize, okay, this can be better. Demand excellence from yourself.
So, Carl, how do they handle when the people talking bad about them, distracting, saying negative things about it? How do they handle it? Because sometimes they hit your soul, and some people can't handle it. So how do they overcome all that?
Yeah, I mean, you got to toughen your skin. This is a business where the one thing you're gonna definitely get is criticism. The easiest thing somebody, especially now with social media, the easiest thing you can do is for somebody to give you their opinion. So you have to learn when to hear that opinion and when to ignore that opinion. Because sometimes the opinions have some validity and they can make you a better person. And I would say to them, don't take it personal. Don't let their criticism devalue you. Let their criticism infuse you with the drive to say, I want to get better. Let me see what they're saying, or what's the note behind the note? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they might be critiquing me, but what are they really saying? They're saying that I got to move the camera more. My actors are too over the top, or they're doing this. What are they saying to me that I need to incorporate into what I'm doing so that I can be better, as opposed to just putting arms up and saying, later for that, rah, rah, rah. You want to, some people just be talking, and some people are just trolls, and some people just have nothing positive to say. But then some people give you honest, constructive criticism. And I'll say this too as well, going back to that whole emotional literacy thing. If somebody says something that hits you, man, let it hit you. Feel it. Don't act like it don't bother you, but let it bother you. Like what I learned to do was like, okay, if I was going to sulk, I say, okay, for the rest of this night, I'm going to sulk and sulk and sulk and be mad and angry and down and eat some cookies and eat some bad food. But come the morning, that's it. Once the sun come up, that's over. We right back into it. We back into it. Let's learn the lesson and keep moving forward. I'm not going to wallow on what was happening, how I was feeling last night. And usually because I got that sulk out and I got that woe is me and the pity out and why me and all that, I had my pity party. That's what it is. I threw myself a pity party. I hosted it. I produced it, had a pity party. Once I got the pity party over with, I'm like, okay, I'm moving forward now. I ain't got time. No more pity parties right now. And with a lot of folks will try to lure you into their pity parties. And I've learned to say, no, man, I'm not coming to that pity party. And you shouldn't go to that pity party either. You've been holding on to something for so long. that's not where you should be at. You gotta move forward. You have to move past that, because this game will literally kill you if you keep harboring on things. And I'm saying that from a person who harbored on something for years. And I'm like, it was a weight around my neck just keeping me down. I'm like, that you gotta let that go and keep moving forward. It'll shut you down.
Wow. Man, you just tapped on my soul right there, man. Man, my last question for you. This has been a classroom. This has been a session. I mean, even though you're directing filmmaker, you're teaching the class right now. But my last one is: there's anything in this world you could change, do over, or make better, what would it be?
Man, in this world, man, they go hand in hand. You can separate them, but they go hand in hand. Racism and capitalism. If you can remove racism on a global scale, not just America, but just on a global scale throughout history, I mean that's, I know it's beyond wishful thinking, but racism it seeps its way into every aspect of everything in ways that you're like, man, somebody says, I just want to play ball, but some racism they got to deal with at a certain school or a certain city or a certain institution. It's and capitalism, because capitalism is a direct attack at morality. You know what I'm saying? Where people will rationalize any behavior if it's gonna get them a bag. And in rationalizing that crazy behavior for the bag, even if it's a great bag, the damage it does is far more. I mean, if you look at crack cocaine, going back to Snowfall, and what crack did to every major city, every African American family I know was affected by crack in some way, shape, or form, whether they want to admit it or not. Even if everybody has a family member, a cousin, a brother, a mother, a dad who got on it, and the despair it caused in the family, broke hearts. You can't trust them. You got to lock doors. You got to lock them out. Things like that, and that fueled the whole once again capitalism, because everybody's chasing this dollar and want to make money. So I would say it's a toss up, man. It's racism on one side. I would lean towards that as a black man, but capitalism is right there as well. And I mean, we're seeing the reckoning of North America as we speak, how capitalism has fueled it to this point, and it may lead to its demise, because it's gotten to a point where morality is thrown out the window. It's all about, well, how much money we making, and if we're making this much money, I can live with that because I'm gonna get this check, So those two are what I would say.
Amen. I'm gonna leave you with this one, because this has been a spiritual session, a lot of teaching, a lot of growth. No discipline is enjoyable while it is happening. It's painful, but afterwards there will be peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way. Hebrews 12:11. Oh, man, no discipline. You had a tremendous amount of discipline on your journey, man. Obviously, you're reaping the fruits of your labor. I know you still got ways to go. You're one of the best at what you do. You'll continue to grow, man. It's a joy for me to see you and to say, man, I know that guy right there. That brings me pure joy to say I know you in all your success, and I try to watch everything you do, because, again, you have to be able to support people you care about. So that means a lot to me. Now, family, this has been a great show. Remember, it all counts.
Hey, so
yes.
I want to cut you off, man. I got to say this real quick.
Oh, yeah.
I got to get this one off,
yeah.
bro. I got to share with you, this was 2014. Cal was in town playing USC. Mm-hmm. And me and my girl, who's the mother of my child, we were at the game, sitting behind y'all. We were maybe 4 rows behind y'all, man. And I had the opportunity and the honor to watch you and Co, and watch you coaching and working with these young men, and the way you coach them inspired me in ways you won't even know, bro.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, seeing y'all do y'all thing, man, I was like, I need, at that moment, I didn't know I needed to see it the way I needed to see it. And to see it as close as I saw it. Y'all got your suits on, you know what I'm saying? You're standing, in your agency. And I saw that power. And I was like, that's what it's about right there.
Man.
Yeah.
Man, it all counts, family. We've been fed today. I mean, this has been a great session. Carl Seaton, one of the best directors and filmmakers in the world. I mean, he's done a phenomenal job, man, and follow everything he has. Carl, just so they know, how do they look for you if they're trying to find you?
I'm on all social media as Mr. Carl Seaton, Seaton. That's me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, I get X now. I mean, I'm not the most active on there, but I am on there. I mean, and if somebody reach out, I also have in my website, carlseaton.com. So that's my website where you can see, my reel, my body of work and so forth. So, if you got questions, I'll try my best to answer them as soon as I possibly can.
There we have it. It all counts, family. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And let's continue to grow together. Take care and have a great morning or a great evening.